I have never met anybody who became incredibly successful in any area of their life until they had suffered and sweated and sacrificed and kept their focus and fought through tears and trials and tests. And if you have a dream and you commit to it, it will come to pass.
This shit too easy for me now. Sleep is the cousin of death, the time to doze off.
Pull the bottom one as well.
Pull towards you. Yeah. Good. One. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Back. One. It's in. Get 'em up level, you can get 'em up. Okay.
Come on. Yes, go again. Come on. Yes. Oh. Here we go. Up.
I needed that.
It got better each rep then.
Yeah.
It got better and better and better.
Yeah. I needed it. Fucking hell. Yeah. FLF. Okay, I can't get my words out. That set, first set, RDLs out of the way. Right. This was very tough today. It was very, very hard. And you can see by the first rep how slow the bar moves. Even after the second rep, I don't know how I keep pulling it out, but I think I just enjoy training. Like for me, this is the best time of the day, where I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just in a different place. But more than anything, I'm passionate about this stuff. I'm passionate about training out of everything else, out competing, but my passion is more on the gym floor. I'm passionate about training. Now, extraordinary feats are always gonna have extraordinary issues. So then we need extraordinary passion. So thank God I am passionate about this. And that's one advice I'd give the younger guys who are coming up. Just take your time to fall in love with the game. there's nothing like falling in love with the training. When you fall in love with training, then all the hurdles that come in a way are easier sort of maneuvered. But yeah, that's just my take on it. I enjoy training. I'm passionate about training, which makes the hard times easier to navigate. Now, I'm not talking like I'm saving the world. I'm only lifting some weights. However, it is still challenging, like anything else in life. So, yeah, we're here at FLF, Hamstrings and pull. So, yeah, without further ado, we get moving. Adiel out of the way. We're going to lats now. Pull down.
I just make drinks. I go work on the charge.
Oh my gosh.
Waking up to the siren.
Man. Ideal to start, hamstrings, but you do get some lower back erector lobe, mostly when you're in a fully bent over position. You will load your back in some sort of fashion, but yeah, that's RDL. We focused on a hip shift more than anything, and then we take eccentric, so you can see me really controlling the weight as I go down, and focused on shifting my hips as far back possible. One set there, a biscuit aside, which is 2 kilos, and 1 rep down from last week. So we'll take that. I'll probably stick to this load next week and just try let it settle. Next, we've come to the prime prototype pull down. So this here is lat focused. So as you see, my setup is such that I'm all the way in and almost hips are tucked. And then I'm just pulling the elbow all the way down to the hip. Now, why am I doing that? Because if we talk about the lat doesn't attach to the scapula. So then it is important for me to be in a position where I'm not doing that, having scapular retraction, because that makes it upper back, and just align my elbow with the musculature that I'm working, which is the lat. So lat here overloads me heavily at the top of the movement, and it drops off ever so slightly as I come down. Very, very heavy machine once again, but beautiful. So my objective as I come to this machine is to spend as much time at the top or get a full stretch, and then come all the way down. So 2 sets here.
Come on.
Oh my God. One of the hardest machines, or one of the hardest pull downs I've used. So heavy, so heavy, but that's where the growth lies.
You always have that in your session.
No. I just have it on this session and the upper session because they're quite long. So it's just to keep me going more than anything. But like on other sessions, I don't have them. On the upper session, it's a long session.
In the other session, what do you drink? You have your orange?
Just water. Water's enough for me. Well, this session is quite demanding, so a bit of carbs, so that I'm not dying off at the back end of the session.
How far are you halfway through now?
Hey?
How far are you in now?
So I'm 2 movements in. I've got another 1, 2, 3. Then I've got a leg press. Yeah. So, and back is quite taxing anyway, you know. So I just gotta make sure I'm performing consistently across the session, as opposed to dying off. Yeah, because everything is important. It's important I perform everything. Finally, bro. Prime extreme row, upper back focus. In my opinion, most of the chest supported pieces, that's a T-bar row or a prime chest supported row or any other piece that's chest supported, mostly in a prone position. It's very ideal to train the upper back in that it gives you a reference point to drive into and be able to really get scapular traction without the torso moving up and down. So this is my favorite piece more than anything. But once then I have exhausted this piece, I will come onto this piece, which is just a chest supported T-bar row. It'll offer me different grips and the objective will be the same, just chest supported piece that can really use the chest pad to be able to elicit as much output onto my upper back as possible. As per the way the session is structured, as you can see, I've done hamstrings, which I will still get a full posterior hit from hinging. But from there, I've gone on to the lat because my lats are sort of fresh-ish coming from a hinge. So I've gone into the lat. Once I train the lat, I come into an upper back movement. Just give the lat a bit of a break. And then after this, I'll go on to a horizontal lat row. So that way I'm just going upper back, lat, finish with rear delts. Rear delts, we've been working all through the session, so it just makes sense to train them directly. So as much as exercise selection is important, the sequence, how you sequence your movements also matters massively, because then you don't want one movement to affect the next movement negatively. You want movements to complement each other and then all together allow you to perform consistently across the session. if we speak about setup here, what you want more than anything, and a huge mistake you see people make, is that lack of extension on the spine. So you don't want to be hunched like that, because then you won't be able to fully shorten the upper back. So you want to always stay nice and proud and be able to drive your elbows as far back as possible. If your chest comes off the pad a bit, it's not the end of the world. Yes, it's a chest supported movement, so you should use the pad to your advantage. But every now and then, the chest will come off the pad. Do not overthink it. Just focus on really driving your elbows as far back as possible, all the way down, fully protract, all the way up, fully retract. So don't overthink it. Grab the weight, pull as hard as possible, go as far back as possible. So you're going up and back, all the way down, you're fully getting a full stretch. Up and back, fully down. Control your eccentrics as usual. Don't just rock back and forth. Control your eccentrics, but be very explosive with your concentric, which is the up phase. Let's see if I can get Alex to push this. Push. Mate. Right. Right. Oh my God. So lats there. As you can see, setup is important. So where you have the seat will be very important in terms of how the elbow travels back horizontally. So you want to be able to come from a low to a high position, hence the handles being lower and the seat being higher. Then that just allows the elbow to travel in line with the lower lat or the lumbar lat, if you want to become technical. So as I sit there, my thought process isn't to pull back. My thought process is to pull down and around. Remember, on the extreme row, when it's upper back, my thought process was to pull up and back for upper back. For lat, my thought process is to pull the elbow down and around to match the musculature that I'm training, yeah? So very, very important. You set up a machine to allow you to move like that. Work with the machine. Don't try and modify, things massively, because most of these machines, mostly like Prime and Atlantis, there's a lot of thought process put to them, so just work with it. Whenever you're training lat, and a big difference between training the lats and the upper back is where you initiate the movement from. So if you initiate the movement from a retracting position, you're then more likely to hit your the upper back musculature as opposed to the lat. So when you're training the lat, you want very little retraction, per se. And then when you're training the upper back, you want maximum retraction. So that there lays a big difference in how to set up and the thought process between training the upper back and the lat musculature. Hey. once again, like I mentioned there, because the lat attaches from the base of the spine into the upper arm. So that's why my movement, or my thought process is to think, drive the arm here to the base of the spine, right? My arm comes in, the elbow passe to the base of the spine, right? But if I was training upper back once again, I'd be looking at that sort of movement. There's not much to say about back or the differences, or maybe there is, but that is a big point. Knowing how to differentiate or to separate different setups when training upper back and lat. I think that's where there's the biggest gap and the biggest confusion. So there we go. And I'm the god. So fuck you. So rear delts there, and when we think about rear delts, you want to think about reverse dip. So if you're doing a tricep dip, you'd be going into this direction. At what point you see how my rear delts are popping there. So you want to reverse that and move in the same direction, but coming from the opposite side. So when I think of rear delts, I think of a semi-pronated grip, and I'm driving that way. I'm not coming out there, because that then is a lot more upper back. I'm just coming up there, cutting in between a neutral and the overhand. So in between there, right? So if you watch me there, I'm just traveling in this fashion, which is normally like a normal grip. When you hold something, you just gotta go there, right? So worth noting that mini adjustment, but the rear delts have been working all session anyway, so I do not overthink this stuff. Put full stack in, move as much load as possible. Fuck around and find out.
Let's go. Yep.
Rock. Thank you. So, absolutely fucked. So leg press here, and I have had to take, over the last couple of weeks, I've had to regress the load slightly so that I'm able to really get as deep as possible. And it's hard because sometimes you do something and you're fixed in your ways about how to do it. So I think it's important to keep an open mind and realize regression sometimes is a form of progression. So the ability to regress the load has allowed me to challenge my legs in ranges where I've not challenged them before. And that is what the goal is when seeking hypertrophy, sort of going into them ranges where you're weaker and trying to get stronger in those ranges. So at the bottom of the leg press, where it's the hardest, I'm having to get there, but then that requires me to lighten the load a bit and then work back up. But if I carried on sort of not working at a full range, I'm still investing effort, but the return isn't worth it. So I'd rather invest a similar effort and get maximal returns. Maximal effort, maximal returns. I think most of us have tried to cut corners before for one reason or the other. Sometimes, it's just your ego. But the thing is, if you cut a corner, you're just going to meet yourself ahead on the next turn, and then you realize you've not taken what you deserve to take, and then you've also got to come back now on yourself where you were before to then take the same route. So for the youngers as well who are coming up, just embrace working hard, embrace doing things the right way, embrace putting maximal effort, because that's what will give you maximal returns. Building a physique is hard. It's hard. There is no secret. There is no way around it. You just got to do the hard stuff. Granted, there's different ways to do things, but either way, effort is what will determine what you get back at it. And applying effort consistently is hard. But if you look at the guys at the top, the bigger guys, that's one thing they have in common. They're consistently applying effort, progressing effort, and then they're reaping the rewards. But it's hard, it's not cute. You just got to choose which way you want to go, because not everyone wants to be a big bodybuilder. Some people just want to enjoy it, that's great. But personally, for the guys who are competitors watching this, for the youngers who are coming up, who aspire to one day compete or just be massive, walk around massive, then I'd advise you, don't cut corners, It's about consistently repeating things, consistently applying effort, consistently improving your skill, consistently improving performance, consistently trying to get stronger. So you know the common denominator there is consistency, and it's boring. You know, sometimes there's nothing to report. Like now, I've got people ask you, you know, what's going on? And like nothing to report. I'm just in that phase where I'm just working to improve. There's nothing to show, no progress pictures to show per se, and you know, it's hard sometimes because we've got nothing to report. We live in an era where people want to constantly report things on social media, constantly put updates. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But building muscle takes time. If I put a progress picture up in a space of 2 months, it's not going to be different because, not because I'm not trying hard, but because it's just not enough time. So we have to respect the process, and the process demands time. If you're building a house, it demands time. If you're building a physique, it demands time. If you're building a big business, it demands time. You know, if whatever is worth it in life demands time. If I'm going to buy a couple of sweets from the corner shop, that's a small deal. Doesn't demand time. But if I'm going to buy the shop itself, that demands time. So it's just worth thinking about that. So that is the session. If we run through it again from a sequence, RDL, we're looking to bias hamstrings. So what's the takeaway? Hip shift, control your eccentrics, right? We go on to the lat pull down. Remember, the lat attaches on your upper arm and into the base of the spine. So try and initiate without any retraction to bias the lat. We go on to the extreme row, that's upper back. The initiation now requires retraction of the scapula. You're pulling all the way up and back. We're back into a seated lat, horizontal. Biggest takeaway, remember, initiate by driving the elbow towards the hip. Once again, following where the lat attaches at the base of the spine, right? Back to a pull down for rear delts. Remember, the biggest skill, think of a reverse dip. Your elbows just sort of go in between an overhand grip and a neutral grip. So you're just in there. It's mostly the natural grip that your hands will take. And then we've come into a leg press, which is an output piece of kit. So we're just looking to shift as much amount of load and take the muscle through a full range of motion. So that's that for us. Not much to say. I'm absolutely battered. So maybe a couple of days off the gym and see what happens. But tomorrow's a rest day, so we'll make that decision based on how I feel tomorrow. But yeah, the blocks that we're running now are sort of 5 to 6 weeks. That's how it's worked out, and then we need a deload. So whatever happens, I'll take a deload next week, because sometimes if you just carry on, then you dig yourself deeper. But yeah, this session is always a very good litmus test, because after this, it will tell me the truth of where I am, because it's the hardest session of the week. So thank you guys. Ask as much questions as you want. Give me as much feedback about what you'd like to see next. And we shall see you next time.